Coming up, I'm taking you to the MGM Grand Hotel, which for the last 20 years has been home to one of the most extravagant Cirque du Soleil shows in Las Vegas history. I'm Mike the Vegas Guy. Thank you for joining me once again as I attempt to rate and review every show playing in Las Vegas, and this is my review of Ka by Cirque du Soleil. This was the fourth Cirque du Soleil show to open in a Las Vegas hotel. It took the place of a show I loved called EFX that ran for many years in the 90s and into the 2000s. Ka became pretty famous for being the first Cirque du Soleil show to have a storyline, or at least the closest thing to a storyline than the other Cirque shows that have come before it. I'm going to be honest, even I don't fully understand the story. It involves these two tribes, I guess, that are at war with each other. It's very clear who the protagonists are and who the antagonists are. The bad guys show up shooting arrows at the other tribe. There is this core group of characters who sort of go on this adventure fleeing the attacking tribe, and they run into all sorts of characters along the way that help them, and there's this ultimate battle at the end of the show, and eventually, presumably, peace between everyone when all is said and done. There is very little dialogue to help you learn this story. You're just supposed to kind of piece it together. Die-hard fans of the show, I'm sure, are screaming at me right now that I don't know all the characters' names. I'm sorry. Needless to say, the real star of this show is the stage and the scenery itself. This is one of the most technologically advanced, most impressive shows you can see in Las Vegas. The centerpiece of this stage is this giant rotating platform that becomes many different things throughout the show. It's unbelievable to watch people just climbing this thing as it rotates back and forth and upside down. It's unbelievable. Apart from all the story, all the costumes, the special effects, I personally can be entertained just by watching human beings scaling this set piece while it rotates in the air. It's astounding. Before I get carried away talking about what I think of the show, let's get into the nitty-gritty here. This show plays every day except Thursdays and Fridays. It's dark on Thursdays and Fridays. They have a very unique schedule here. As I've mentioned before on this channel, all of the Cirque du Soleil produced shows in town take their days off on differing days throughout the week, which allows you, the consumer, to have options on any given day of the week to at least see one or more than one Cirque du Soleil show in town. This show has an odd schedule. It runs 7 o'clock and 9:30 p.m. Monday through Wednesday, and then on Saturdays and Sundays they trade the matinee for a 4:30 p.m. show and a 7 o'clock show. At least that is what is posted on most websites when you look up the show. But as I've said in the past, you have to go to Cirque du Soleil's website for the best information. They change their times up all the time. They always keep those days off. Thursdays and Fridays are their dark days. But I just went to see it on a Sunday at 9:30. Even though the schedule says they don't perform at 9:30 on Saturdays or Sundays, I just went to one myself. So they can change this schedule depending on the season. So always, as I say, check the listings when you get to town or when you are looking to buy tickets, and trust their website. Let's take a look at the seating chart. As always, I show you what the seating chart is, and I list the prices of the tickets, including all taxes and fees. That is the final cost when you get it in your cart, what it's actually going to cost you, not the base rate that they advertise up front. Once again, these Cirque du Soleil shows have insane pricing. This show has 9 different price categories. And depending on the date, I've seen them add other ones too. The number changes. It's very chaotic. They do utilize dynamic pricing, so at their leisure, they can lower these prices, increase the prices however they feel like it, if it is selling better on a Saturday night or a Monday night. The prices I'm listing here are traditionally for a peak time, like a Saturday evening is when I sourced these. But again, they are subject to change, so check their website to be sure. But the lowest rate I could find was $95.16 for the last couple of rows in this theater. It was very difficult to find a good seating chart. that represented all of the price tiers. So this was a screenshot of the date that I was looking at for tickets. You'll notice they have higher prices for aisle seats on the center as opposed to sitting further into the rows. It's a little strange. Normally, I commend Cirque du Soleil for pricing their seats based on how good the view of the show is from those seats. They tend not to pander to the market and the demand for tickets, but they're kind of doing that a little bit here with these aisle seats costing more. Normally, I say trust their seating chart for how good a view of the show will be from those seats. I'm going to tell you, buy the cheap seats. Sit further back for this show. Yes, it is a very large theater, but the stage is enormous. And there's action in the aisles and in the theater itself. The scenery comes out completely around you into the theater. And I've been fortunate. I have sat down front the couple of times I've seen the show. And every time I find some reason to like creak my neck around because there's something happening way in your periphery. If you sit further back in that upper section, that second level there, buy the cheapest seats or the next to cheapest seats. You want to get a little closer to the stage. You will feel further back if you're all the way in those back rows. You're going to get a better view of everything the further away from the stage that you sit. Another tip would be get close to the stage, whether it's left, right, or center. There's always that premium. People want to sit in the very center. If you sit all the way to the side, but you're still far enough back in this room, your view is going to be pretty darn good of the show. They do sell those front side seats for a lower rate than the center. I actually got a good discount there once upon a time. The first time I saw it, I sat in the second row all the way to the right-hand side. Still impressive. Still a great seat, but it was too close. I couldn't see any of the stuff happening in the theater behind me. Sit further back. That's my pro tip for this show. They do have a VIP package. $350 is what it comes to in the cart afterwards. This is a pretty good VIP package. I haven't done it myself, but some of them only really offer you a little reception with food and drinks. This one offers a backstage tour. And when you see this show, you will want a backstage tour. It's unbelievable what they do with this stage, with the scenery, and it's hard to tell what's happening because it's very dark. I certainly would love to get a backstage tour. I haven't done this experience. $350 is pretty expensive for me, but it's cheaper than some other VIP packages. I think the one for O that I just reviewed is $500. So stay tuned to this channel. Hopefully, if I get enough subscribers and this starts making some money, I will splurge and go take that VIP tour. And I want to check it out for myself. The stage is so impressive, and I would definitely put a high value on getting any kind of behind-the-scenes experience. Let's talk about discounts. My discount stoplight here, this is another one. It's a little hard to come by. You will see discounted rates on the third-party brokers. They're going to be discounted rates for the more expensive sections of the theater. You're rarely going to find tickets less than the lowest advertised price for those seats in the last row. They usually advertise those seats for $60 to $70, but of course after the taxes and fees comes out to $95. It's very possible that on a third-party broker on a slow week, you might find them discount it to where you actually do pay $60 to $70. If that's the case, buy it. It is a great deal for this show. I'm going to have to say that on average, you're going to be very lucky to pay less than $100 or around $100 to get into this. This is one of the biggest and best shows you can see in Vegas. $100 for the ticket is not unreasonable. Like I always say, do your homework, follow my ticketing tutorials that I have on this channel, and find the best price for you. But if you can sit anywhere in that second level further back, as close as you can get to the stage in that second area, that further back section, you're going to have a great view of the show and you might get a good price. So, my review. Perhaps you can already tell I'm a big fan of this show. It is an incredible show. Like I indicated already, this is more of a departure from the traditional Cirque du Soleil format. As I spoke of in my review of O, which was the very, artistic living work of art, sit back and just enjoy the scenery. This is a piece of theater. There is a storyline, there are characters. Even if you don't fully follow the story, which is a complaint for people, it does happen a lot with this show. It's not the easiest storyline to follow, but you do become invested in the characters. This show also features some of the most thrilling variety acts, circus acts, if you will. It's hard to call them that. Whereas other shows, it's very obvious there's trapeze artists and aerialists. They created new things for this show, as I said, with that stage. This show truly provides a one-of-a-kind display of human physical feats that you really don't get out of the other Cirque du Soleil shows. The other Cirque shows feel like a circus, and this feels like something you've never seen before. It does feature some traditional circus variety acts, don't get me wrong. It has the Wheel of Death, the double Wheel of Death, if you will, but it is done in this production in the most entertaining way I've ever seen it done. If I have to be critical at all about this show, not even critical, this is just something I feel like I should advise you, the audience, if you are unsure about whether or not you're going to buy tickets to this show. I would warn you, if you are planning to bring children to this show does have sort of a dark, if not violent theme. Like I mentioned, there's sort of these, tribes that are at war with each other. There are depictions of simulated violence, and just there is a general kind of dark and foreboding vibe to this show. When you enter the theater, there are just flames shooting up through the darkness of the stage. If you or someone you might be bringing to this show is sensitive to those kinds of scary scenarios that you might see in an environmental theater piece, just be forewarned. I would not choose this as someone's first ever piece of theater that you're going to bring a kid to, maybe. And for what it's worth, if you're debating which Cirque du Soleil show to see, it might not be the best starter. This is a very intense show. That having been said, it's an incredible show. It's a beautiful show. It's unlike anything else you're ever going to see. I really can't give you a reason not to go see it. I have to give this my 5-star must-see rating. Just, with that caveat of know yourself and know your audience. If you think you might be offended by those kind of dark, violent undertones, you might want to choose a different show. But those aspects are not overpowering in the show, and in my opinion, are not enough to tell you to skip it. Tell me in the comments, have you seen Ka yourself? Did you agree with my review? What do you think of it? Tell me in the comments which show you'd like me to review next. Thank you for hitting that like button and for subscribing to my channel. It really helps me out. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for more of my Las Vegas show, buffet, and hotel reviews. I'm Mike the Vegas Guy.